Hello, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for coming back, and as always, huge massive thank you for the support. I really do appreciate it. So I know when I did the last video, I wasn't sure what I was coming back with. I thought it might be the bookmarks, I thought it might be the card toppers, but I decided to go with these teenage years one decoupage toppers, because I got these during the birthday week a couple of weeks ago. I do really love them, that you get so much for your money. You get 4 of each sheet, which is great if you've got a crafty friend. You just might need to get a separate brilliant backgrounds book, and the backgrounds book, you've got 2 sort of designs that coordinate with each set. I thought I would start with a fun day out, which is the sort of go-karting and the roller coaster sort of theme. So we're going to have a little play with that today. Now I have been sort of popping these out to try different things, so apologies. Let me keep that one to hand because I will need that. We'll pop that on the top so I can find it in a second. So let's start by bringing in my trimmer and a piece of a 300 GSM white card. And I'm going to start as if I'm making my little stepper, a little 6x6. So I'm going to cut at the 1 inch mark over, and I'm going to cut from 1 to 7 inch on both of the sides. So just button that up to the 1 inch and then cut in from the 7 to the 1. Now normally what I would do is put the 6 inch mark in the middle, but I'm going to do it the other way around. So the scores that I usually put on the outside, I'm popping on the inside. So I'm going to score at 1 inch, and this is just to make it easy for me to find it when I put it into my scoreboard in a second. So 1 inch, 2 inch, and if I pop, that arm out, I can do the 7 inch as well. And this is going to give me my stepper, but it'll be inverted. So let's pop that to the side and bring in the scoreboard. Let's put it on the inches side because that would be super helpful. And all I need to do on the outside is just do the 6 inch. And then I can come back over, just over those 1 inch mark, the 2 inch mark, and the 7 inch, and I can also just make sure I go right up to the cut line as well. So let's pop that down, just checking which side is the brighter side of my card, and I'm just going to ease these in. That is going to go down, that is going to go flat, and we're going to end up with this inverted stepper with quite a large panel on the inside for us to decorate. So these toppers are quite small. I think they're around about 3 3/4, nearly 4 inches at least. So we need a way to build things around them to sort of put them in proportion on our card. But that's going to be that inverted stepper, and that's what we're going to be playing with today. So let's bring in my trimmer, and I'm going to bring in a piece of gold mirror, and I'm going to start by taking 2 notches off of one side, and then if I turn it around and take 2 notches off of 1 inch, the 2 notches is 1/8 of an inch, and that's going to fit nicely onto there. And I'm going to turn this around again, and I'm going to cut 2 pieces that are 2 notches under the one. And then these I'm going to make, I think I'm going to try 5 inch, because I think there is a slightly different gap between them. Yeah, I'm going to keep them at 5 inch. So there won't be quite so big a gap between that base and the top. You can try and cut it in one go if you want to. I always find that kind of thing really tricky. I mean, we could, just debating now whether to I am going to take that to 2 notches under the 5. It's going to be one of those days today, guys. I just sat down to start, and Geronimo was trying to turn the little robot hoover on, which is really noisy. So I wouldn't have been able to do a video while it was on. Little love. Let's call him a little love, shall we? So this piece inside here is 4 by 5. So again, I'm going to take 2 notches or 1/8 of an inch off of that measurement. And that is going to slip into there quite nicely. I have got just a really narrow border at the top, it will be fine. And then if I find the page, which is the little racetrack, and this one here, which is pretty much what I see on any motorway journey. And what I'm going to do is just make sure I've got that the right way up. I'm going to take a piece off each end that is 3/4 of an inch. So we've got that one. I'm going to take a piece of this end, 3/4 of an inch. So I'm trying to keep this bit central in the middle. And then I'm going to take a piece off the bottom at 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Now the piece off the bottom needs to go to 4 3/4, and that's going to be our piece for there. And these pieces of the sides need to go to 4 3/4. So we've got that one, and we have that one. Oops, let's just get that. Right, so 4 3/4. So those are those pieces there. Now the actual toppers themselves, they do, like I say, they do kind of line up. We bring in the main topper, and you can see how very similar it is. I mean, it's not quite right. If you line up that bit at the back, then these tires are going off the other way around, but this bit lines up. But what I'm going to do is go to this sort of match up this bit of sort of track. So we're going to bring that in. So because this piece in the middle is 4 by 5, what I'm going to do is I want to try and keep it sort of central. So let's take, I think that's about 1 1/4 inch off there. And then if I turn that around, if I go to 4 3/4, I can see that's too far over. So let's go to a 4 1/2. And all I'm trying to do is just try and keep that track in the center of my piece there. And then I know I need to take about 1/2 inch off each side. So that should now go to 4 1/4 quite nicely. And we've got them pretty much in the middle. Now, I do need to go to 4 3/4. So I am going to take some of this off. Let's go to take 1 inch off the bottom. Because remembering this is going to drop down by maybe 1 inch. So I do want to keep them pretty much in the middle. That's going to be good. So that should fit quite nicely, and that's going to be your best guesstimate. There's no way for you to sort of prepare that unless you sort of put some pencil marks on. So the bigger strips, I'm going to pop back into my book, and we will save those for another day. Now the glues I'm going to be using are the Clout All-Purpose Glue, the Clout Tacky Glue, and I'm going to be using the dotty tape pen on these papers. So let's start to build up our card. So for the papers, dotty tape pen in the corners is how I like to go, and then the all-purpose in the middle, and that's just going to give me that little bit of slideability. It is, but those dots are going to hold that in place without that paper sort of buckling up under that wetness of the tacky. But now that's on cardstock, what I can do is come in with my tacky in the corners. So, and my all-purpose. So I do use 2 glues. I don't apologise for it anymore. That's just who I am. But what I will find is that I do want to make sure it's nice at the top. So I'm probably going to have to put this topper right to the bottom of that space. Making sure those sides are nice and equal. But that's that piece in. So that's looking quite nicely. Now you can decorate this if you want to. I'm not going to. I just think it's going to drop down behind. I don't want to make my card any chunkier than it has to be, with the little bit of folding in there, so I'm not going to put that in, but a little bit of all-purpose glue. I might have put a little bit too much on there. Hopefully it's not going to splurge out, and we can just wiggle that about until we're happy where that's going. And you can use your tacky glue or your dots on this piece. It's up to you. Let's pop that onto there. And I'm not planning in any way that any of these stripes are going to match up. I was just simply really trying to keep that in the middle. And if you want more ideas on card styles to use these decoupage toppers on, there are more on my Pinterest. The 2-step cutting one is really great because you have a 4x4 square. Let's put dots on this just for quickness. My refills came today, so, and my new embossing folders, so I can't wait to be playing with those. I also ordered some of the squovels. I wanted the square edge ones, but I actually accidentally ordered the other ones, so I've got to reorder and get the right ones. Might do that tomorrow. Today's probably not going to be a good day. I've had very little sleep today. Don't know what was going on. Just could not sleep. But I am hoping to make 2 videos today, hopefully. After this one, sort of later this afternoon, and I want to do that new card shape. I found it won't be a very long video, may only be 15 minutes or so, but I want to do that and do the template. But that's how our card is looking at the moment. So it's looking quite bright and in your face, perfect for a young child. Now all of these I'm going to be using 1mm foam pads. I like decoupage, I love decoupage in fact, but I don't like it too high, so I like to just pop 1mm on there. Sometimes the 2mm or 3mm or even the 4 is perfect, but with these sort of toppers and the Decoupage, I really do prefer that sort of slightly less height. But let's pop them front and centre and grab the Decoupage itself, which is, and I am going to use probably most of them. I'm going to just be a bit careful there because that's a bit delicate. And we'll go with this one. So I just want to save a little bit just to pop onto there. So then we'll go with the bumper and the front. So that means I've got the car and the front of the car to go on there, so 2 layers, and that's going to look still. This is how I would say you get the best value out of these, getting a little bit extra. So I don't know why I brought those in, because I've got these here. Let's grab some scissors, because we're definitely going to need to cut some down. Okay, so I'm just going to pop onto there. Can get away with that, and that. I'm going to come back with a little piece for there in a minute, because I really do feel like that needs to be supported. Actually, we might get it out of here. And obviously it's up to you how much or how little you decide to put on in the way of foam pads. Let's pop those there. We might need those on the next card. And then I wanted to pop because I've put a bit on that one, I better put a bit on the other side, otherwise it will look a bit strange. Again, these are just the tiniest little bits onto there. Actually, I'm going to take that piece. And I'm going to pop that on there. Okay. So let's go ahead, take all of these off. I'm going to use my tacky glue on these. I can use my purple glue stick, but because some of these bits are quite filigree, if you like, they're not filigree, but you know, they are tiny bits, smaller pieces of decoupage, should I say. I'm just going to go with my tacky glue. I think it's just going to give me that same amount of wiggle room time without squashing anything under that purple glue stick. So let's just go ahead and pop these on. I haven't trimmed any of the pips, but I think we'll be okay. And then again a little bit of these. This really, I mean, this kit is perfect to keep in, because especially if you've got a growing family, you know, loads of grandchildren that are, because there's bound to be something in there that they find fun, whether it be the outdoors or indoors. Let's just pop a little bit of glue on there. You can use your tweezers if, sorry, I can just see a little bit of the foam pad there. You can use your tweezers if, like me, your fingers get in the way sometimes. There's our little bumper. Now, the thing I like about this set as well is a mix of, I mean, these are quite cartoony children, quite anime-y type, if you like. But some of the other ones on some of the other toppers aren't. Now there is a sentiment on here which is full speed ahead to an epic birthday. So we're going to bring that in. And I might also just bring in these 3 golden greetings that we got. So I'm feeling like that needs to go on a blue bit. And I think I want one looks a little bit. Let's go maybe with this one with a slightly darker. Just want something that's going to stand out a little bit. Maybe that one doesn't stand out enough. Let's go with that instead. We'll keep that one. And this one I will go again just with some 1mm. Just going to pop that on that side. I'm going to just trim the pips. And I kind of feel like it needs something along the bottom. Now I have got a border set that was given to me by Hunkydory. Let me just pop this on and we're going to drag that out. But we're going to pop that up there. I feel like that stands out better than the red one. Let me just grab those borders. Okay, so this, and I've got this one here that's got the chevrons. So I think that's going to go perfect with this one. And they do come in different colours. They were still on the website last time I checked. And there's different, just pop that out. So different designs on each one. So this one you got like a sort of fleur-de-lis, sort of lacy design, hearts, fireworks, sort of sewing, or it could be a road. I could use that one. Dots, little squares like a lace, butterflies, leaves, or it could be Christmas lights, stars, flowers, birthday presents, and then just a sort of floral design. They are super useful, especially with this decoupage kit. Sorry, the chair, it's super creaky. And then I'm going to bring in this guillotine for this, and obviously any little bits will go back in the package so I can reuse them or use them elsewhere as flags, because you do get, I mean, that's a whole, it could be a 5-inch card. Let's bring that across there. I mean, I could even have gone all the way around, there's so many of them, but we will just do that base. And I am going to raise that just a little. Again, we'll go with that 1mm just to keep the same theme moving along. Okay. And this one I will use my purple glue stick on. And this is just going to bring an extra little touch of luxury. Now these sort of border strips, I have to be honest, it's not something I would have bought myself, but since I've been gifted them, I've used them quite a bit. So they are a super useful thing to have in your stash for, you know, just like when you want something, a little touch of luxury on there. You could use any little offcuts from your foil card stocks as well. But we just need a couple of little gems on there. I think I will go with the gold. Obviously, so this is a young child that's going to fiddle. Probably gems are not the best thing, because obviously it doesn't matter how much glue you put on, there is going to be a chance that that may come off. I'm just going to go in with 3. And I think I'm going to go with some quite big ones. No, I'm not. We'll go with these ones. No, these ones. So they are quite big. My new gems should be here by the next time I make my normal video. Or maybe they're not, because the next one's Sunday. So they might not be hit on Monday. But anywho, they are on the way to me. They were on a plane yesterday. That's going to be my finished card. So just ease those up. And that's going to be that one, that little inverted stepper. I mean, loads more things you could put on there if you've got the little book of sentiments. And this is going to, sorry, bring it down a bit. This is going to a grandson, nephew, whoever. You know, you've got perfect space there for another topper. The little book of inserts that they just released today would be perfect to go on the inside of there, and actually that is what I will do after the video. Just cut that down to 5 by whatever length it is, and then mat it on a little bit of gold and pop that on the inside. That is card number 1, and I'm just going to get set up for card number 2. Okay, so for the second card, I've got 2 pieces of 300 GSM white cardstock. One is going to be my base card, the rest is going to be pieces for my pop-up. So if I take this piece to 6 inches and then cut that one down to 3, we'll keep that piece in my handy in case I do a pop-up again. And then this piece needs to be 5 by 4. And those pieces are going to go into my bit box. Let's pop that to the side and bring in the scoreboard. And I'm just going to score, so I've got the 5-inch along the top, and I'm going to score at half and 1, half and 1. And then on this one, I've got the 3 inches along the top. I'm going to score at half, 1, 2 and half. And then my main card, we're just going to score at 6. So 2 6 by 6s today. Although that inverted step are just that little bit different. So nice to see different ways to do the same thing. So we're just going to score these, or burnish all these scores down. And the reason why we burnish is just to, it makes the paper flex a bit easier, makes any mechanisms work a little easier as well. And then we're going to pop that down. Now, just do a little bit of construction before we start doing our layers. It's going to make it a little bit easier for us. So, a bit of red liner tape on each edge of here. If I turn it over and flatten it out, you'll see that's where they are. And that's going to make our little box shape. And then on this one, we need 2 pieces again. Let's just take 2 pieces, and one is going to go and be our tab. One is going to go on the base of there, which is going to connect that to our box. Okay, we'll pop that one to the side for a second. Make sure our card is the right way up. A little bit of tacky glue just on those corners. And just going to butt this up with my card, and then I can just flip that tab over. And then when it comes to sticking this down, the easiest way to stick a box down and make sure it stays where you want it to be is just have 2 sections. So I've got a thin section and a wider section, and on the back here I've got 2 sections, the 2 thin sections. Just going to pop my tacky glue onto there, and then I can just pop that down flat, and I've got the perfect box on my card. So this one we don't need to pop on yet until after we've decorated. So let's grab the trimmer, let's grab the gold mirror. I have changed my blade now, so it should cut a lot nicer. So just taking 2 notches or 1/8 of an inch off the 6, and then I want 2 notches or 1/8 of an inch off the 1, and that's going to go onto our piece there. And then this piece needs to be 2 notches under the 5 by 2 notches under the 6, which we already did, and that's going to be our piece to go on there. Now this piece here is 4 by 4, And I did find in my bit box a piece that I'd already cut down, so it's 2 notches under the 4 for the gold, and then 3 3/4 for some cream adorable scoreable. And then I'm just going to grab a piece of a matching design. Is this beautiful balloons on one side, super useful, and then the arcade on the other. So I'm going to take a piece that's going to be 3/4 of an inch, and we'll take that to 5 3/4. That's going to be my piece for there. And then I want a piece that's going to be 4 3/4. And I think I do want more of the sky sort of scene, and that needs to be 5 3/4. So that's what we're going to have going on in the background. These pieces, of course, super useful with those balloons on, so they are going back into the pad. And I think that should be all we need. So let's go ahead and pop these on. So like I say, I can't pop that on until I've decorated. So let's go ahead and decorate this up. And we've got our beautiful balloons. I just love that balloon design. I think it's perfect for so many different occasions. It's beautiful. I will just use the dots again on here because I did get my refills, so I'm not worrying about using those up. And I do like to use them on these smaller pieces just because sometimes they tend to pop off in this room. And then this piece here, and you could literally just frame this back piece out. You're not going to see an awful lot of it. It's just kind of going to add to the atmosphere of the card more than anything, because that panel is going to come across the front. And I did think about doing it the other way around, maybe having the plain adorable scoreable at the back, but then I thought it might look a little busy with that topper on. You'll see in a second what I mean. Let's go ahead and we can use our normal glues with this. And even though this looks like quite a tricky card, you know, if anybody gets it who doesn't make cards, it doesn't take that long to make really, and it is fairly simple to do. Okay, so this piece here, let's go ahead and pop this down. Now what I need to do is make sure I've got those 2 sections. Remember how I said we have 2 sections on the flat? If I make sure I've got those 2 sections on the flat, I can pop that wherever I need that to be, and that will be in the correct place for me. But what I'm going to do is just pop my card on my mat up to any line you like. Because this is 4 inches, I know there's 2 inches space, so I need to be about 1 inch either side. So I can go down to that line. I wouldn't use any of your mats and borders as the sort of guide. Use your score line, because that is going to be more accurate. Everything else is human, isn't it? So we're not always in the right place, but that looks pretty good to me. And then what I can do is just take this piece off here. I will just use a little bit of tacky glue on there. I'm going to keep that down, and then we can stick that down, and that's going to have that perfect movement. Like I say, you've got the atmosphere of that fairground in the background. But now we're going to pop these on. So these are all cardstocks again, so I can go ahead and just pop these on. You could be embossing this cardstock. I did get my new folders today, so I can't wait to have a little play with those. Just making sure I've got my borders looking nice. Sorry about the squeaky noises. It's a bit chalk on chalkboard, nails on the chalkboard. And then this piece is going to go onto here. And what I'm going to do with this one, like on the first one, I used some of the decoupage with not the background. This one I'm going to use the background and leave some of the decoupage for another day. Oh, there's a little bit of tape on there, maybe it was falling out and I might have put it on there to save. I will matte a little bit of gold again. So let's see, because these match up to the, if I bring in the papers, I mean you can pop them all in, but because they do match up, let's go with this one actually, because this is the one I'm going to use. Because they do match up quite nicely to those papers, you could overlay them. Oh, I'm not showing that so well because I've gone off there. You could overlay that on and make a topper out of it that way. So that's what I am going to do. So I'm just going to take some of these layers. So I want this one, that one. I think I'm going to go with the amusements piece. Actually, yeah, and I'm going to go with the car, because there is another car there. So we'll go with those. Now, like I said, I do want to just remat this on another piece of gold. Now, have I got another piece of gold in my bit box? Probably not. Let's just use a piece of my 6x6, a bit wasteful, but so it needs to be just over 3. So I'm going to go 3 and 1 notch. There we go. I might just take another little bit off that. Let me just grab my guillotine though, because if I try and go in that close, it will just... So what I'm going to do is just take half a notch off two of the sides. Let's just check. That is maybe I should have gone just 3. This is when it goes too small. I've been having such a day because I've had hardly any sleep. It's just, there we go. That's going to be fine. That's going to be fine. Okay, now what I am going to do is just, this one has got some pips, so let's just go around, just take any of those off. I'm not going to bother with any of the bits, I don't think. Oh no, she changes her mind immediately. And yeah, okay. So this piece here, I'm just going to use these just for quickness now. And I'm going to put that straight onto my piece. And this is going to go flat onto my cream piece. There. And the brilliant thing about those dots and using them on layering, I know they are meant for die cuts. I really do know that, but the brilliant thing about using them is that it's a lot easier to pick them up and re-put them down if you're not quite in the right place. But let's go in with these again. I'm just going to chop some down roughly. I think we're going to be around about in the right place. And I think I might get 2 on there. And on there. And I do just want a little bit on that roller coaster. And I'll pop that one there so I can just get rid. Okay, so again, I'm not going to use my purple glue stick on this one. I use my tacky glue just because I don't want that bit of roller coaster going crazy. And these, like I say, these decoupages, they are mostly under 4 inches, so they are perfect for your smaller cards. I mean, even though I've gone with 6x6, and I know a lot of the demonstrations and the cards they have made are bigger, just to prove that you can take them bigger. Just because they're smaller doesn't mean they have to stay smaller, but it does mean that if you do make a lot of smaller cards, especially you guys abroad, because I know postage, I can go with my purple glue stick on this one. Did I just use the purple glue stick on that one in the end? Ugh, really? Oh, no idea what I'm doing today because I'm so tired. Yeah, just because, you know, they have gone bigger, but you guys in the States, because of the smaller, and other places, because of the post situation, I know you like to make smaller cards, and this is perfect for them because you get so many for a start, so they are going to last you for such a long time. But I mean, that's the size, I mean, matted on a bit of gold, and that's just above the 3-inch mark, so that would look perfect on your A2s and such. So this one I am going with flat. I did say I was going flat, I will stay to that. And then we're just going to pop that in. Like I say, if you wanted to come in and emboss this with one of the masks or something, it would look lovely. Just going to pop that on, make sure that looks, I think my step is just slightly on the wonk. So if I put that slightly on the wonk, doesn't matter because it's a roller coaster, and roller coasters don't go straight, do they? So that's that. And then I think we do need some gems. We do need some gems. Now, which colour do I want to go with? Let's have a little look. Need some blue, I think. I've got some more of these coming as well. Mainly because I've run out of my favourite blue. We can go with some lovely blue gems up here in the sky. That one's slightly bigger. And then I'm going to match that. Some smaller gems. I'll go with a bigger one on that side. Now we've got 6, so we just need one more. I don't think I'm going to do it. I'm going to keep it even. And then the sentiment on this one is have a thrilling time, which I think is going to go great there. Again, we could go with those bigger ones if we wanted to. Just checking if I want to pop that anywhere else. No, I'm going to go up there. I think this one I'm going to go 2mm because we've got that decoupage on there, which is going to raise this card anyway. So we can bring that away from that background. That's going to help it stand out a bit better. If you are worried about these toppers melting into the background a bit, you can always use your dies or your circle cutters and just cut another matten layer out. I love the foiling on the thrilling, it's so delicate. It's very hard to, I don't know if you'll be able to see, maybe just about, there's little dots all along that thrilling, you know, like they light up the circus lights and such, and the amusements, I guess. That's going to be my card number 2. That's our little pop-up, folds down fairly flat. I mean, it has got a bit of chunk to it because we've got all of these layers and that decoupage on top. So maybe a small box or a padded envelope. And then we've got our card number 1, which was that one. So we've still got another set left that I can get out of this fun day out. So like I say, I can match up that with the papers to get another little scene out of that amusement one. And then we've got, sorry, excuse me, we've got the topper there as well with that one. And obviously the Brilliant Backgrounds book. If you ever run out, you can always get another one, subject to stock of course, then depending when you see this video. But that's it for this this video. I will be back again with another set from this. I'm going to work through a few of these, and then I may switch on to something else, just to give you a few ideas. Like I say, it's always great to have a couple of ideas, especially with these decoupage toppers. Sometimes there is so many there and you get them and it's a bit overwhelming. But if you break it down into your cards and what you can do with them, then you're going to be well away and crafting for ages, because it's such a good value for money. But thank you so much for watching today. Take care of yourselves, and until next time, happy crafting. Bye.